I said to him, I said myself, damn those orcs for bringing fire in. She was targeted by the orc shaman during the attack, and now she's left to the ocean's cold embrace. We just couldn't get ahead of the flames with nothing but a few men and some buckets.
Slimy, reeking, rotting sea god. Plenty of fish in the sea, but I've got the foulest of the lot on my hands.
Source hunters here too! Well, if the Legion couldn't save this place, what are you gonna do?
It never ends around here. There's a zombie in my garden, my sheep is missing, an orc ate my baby. Night and day and night. Source hunters here too. Well, if the Legion couldn't save this place, what are you going to...
You're a source hunter, aren't you? They say you can...
Shut tight! Another piece of trash!
Might need to blow this one open.
Today, I think,
I could have had a new lamb by now if that Bruce had taken to a woolly lass instead of that heifer.
But
If one were to reduce the quantity of skull dust by a percentage of 2, perhaps the stability could be increased by as much as 3-fold. Oh, a source hunter. Imagine that. Quite a bit more petite than the last of your kind I encountered, aren't you? Yes, by nearly 20 centimeters of tibia, as my memory serves. No matter. Even if it couldn't spare its heartiest specimen, I'm sure the Order sent the individual with the next highest probability of success. Huh?
So,
Why, I'm more than a little surprised you haven't heard of me. Perhaps I can jog your memory. It was I who cured the Duchess of Arata of her unslakable thirst. A simple pinch of Atropa belladonna in her morning tea. I who discovered that aging itself can be halted by a single application of Cicuta Douglasii on the tongue. Not to mention that it's been my guidance that has permitted my apprentice Evelyn to make quite a name for herself around Sicile of late. Yes. If that's how we're referring to the secretive use of a revolutionary healing method she refuses to share with her own master. She's in the other room as we speak. Perhaps you can prevail upon her to offer a demonstration. She's gotten hold of a stone, supposedly capable of fantastic feats of healing, but she won't let me take the briefest look at it. She claims to have gotten the relic from a little northern town, Silverglen by name, and that an abbot there blessed it with the power to heal. Utter rubbish, I say. But with these blasted undead haunting the travel routes, I can hardly march up to Silverglen to learn the truth myself. Well, she certainly possesses a critical eye and an exacting manner when it comes to making difficult medical decisions. I expect she'll be a very successful healer in her own right when the time comes. She is learning from the best, after all. Sorry, but there isn't much work for sailors in a house of medicine. Unless one of them happens to have a secret stash of healing stones. Certainly, what would you like to know?
So,
The counsellor. Terrible loss, that. Though we were hardly more than acquaintances, I knew him to be a devoted civil servant. From what I can tell, it seems to be a simple case of jealousy turned violent. The affairs of his wife, Esmeralda, were hardly a secret, you know. I've applied myself to that problem for 2 years and still haven't come a step closer to solving it. I declare it an act of the Almighty's, if I believed in such things. Some events, Source Hunter, can be neither controlled nor understood by mere men.
Neither of you cares to plead for his very existence. So, which of you is more deserving of life? Come, make your case.
A mysterious healing stone. Interesting indeed.
Anybody?
Nothing sets me on edge like inexplicable magic.
We'll have none of that, you hear?
So, which of you is more deserving of life? Come, make your case. Excuse me, this is a private private sick room. Who in the name of the Seven do you think you are barging in here? Out, I say, right this instant.
Soothing a corpse's troubled mind. Can't have gotten far.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's this task. I'm just... Who am I to meddle with life and death this way? I'm an apprentice of the healing arts. Healing! But this decision feels like precisely the opposite. I have but one healing stone, you see, and 2 direly wounded men who need it. I've been racking my brain trying to decide on the best method to settle this grave situation, but perhaps it's better off in the hands of an esteemed source hunter. Surely you are more accustomed to weighing life and death than I. What would you like to know? One of the brave few willing to traverse the trade routes plagued by the undead. A young man, but excellent in matters of business, before he fell victim to an orcish club in the north, that is. Thankfully for him, a cattle trader found him, nearly dead, but not quite so, and brought him here straight away. Quite the venerable staple of Syceel, Stephen, and recently blessed with his 3rd grandchild. He was leading a crew of builders when a stray beam struck him in the temple, and only a few days shy of his last day of work before retirement, no less. Nearly everyone in Syceel is familiar with grinning Stephen, and, as you can imagine, he's quite dear to his family. Yes, a curious relic indeed. I got it from a kindly abbot, Loic by name, in the northern town of Silver Glen. He is of a certain faith, the Immaculates, they call themselves, that espouses the belief that certain stones can heal wounded flesh. I myself was nothing if not skeptical of his claims, but something happened as he handed me the stone. A small cut on my finger instantly healed, leaving no trace of the wound. Needless to say, I was astounded. But it's strange. The stone is only good for a single use at a time before it reverts to a useless, inert state. It takes time to regain its magical properties, and I guard it cautiously.
What's taking tenderfoot?
You are? I thank you 1,000,000 times for your help. Who have you decided should receive the healing stone?
Boris's life has just begun. We can't cut it short now. He should receive the stone.
Yes. Boris deserves to experience all the pleasures of life that Stephen has already enjoyed.
Boris it is? Yes. I'll deliver the stone. I'm glad we'll get to save one man, but my heart breaks for the other.
Thank
No,
the Seven.
no, this is highly abnormal. What is this? It's lightning.
What happened? Is this a dream?
I don't think so. That stone. Somehow it sent us flying into the stars.
Terrible, terrible! It will consume us all! By the quill that lasts 1,000,000,000 words, what's this? 2 Rivalonians here? At the end of space and time? How very, very, very curious! Oh, yes, proper introductions. Zigzax the historian at your service. It is my job to record all that was, and is, and hopefully all that is to be. As for how I got here, well, for a historian appointed by the gods themselves, hopping to the end of time is as easy as 1, 2, 3. How you got here, though, that's a rather more interesting question. On such a tiny and rapidly shrinking vestige of space and time, I wouldn't have expected to find a soul but my own shadow. At last a question I can answer most definitively. I mentioned already that this place is the end of time. If that didn't send your heart into your stomach and your pulse a-flutter, it should have. Time ought naturally to have no end at all. Indeed, I can think of no worse nightmare for a chronicler such as myself. But something totally, utterly terrible has happened. Show, don't tell, I always say. So go, peer through yonder looking lens and feast your soon-to-be terrified eyes on the darkness that is approaching.
I think that imp may be quite
Come now, don't be coy. You saw. Terrifying, isn't... What's this? The portal. It's... The portal has become active. Fantastic. Astounding. Onward we should go. The portal. It's quite sprung to life. Just like the long, dormant flames that decorate this observatory. After all my waiting and hoping, could it be? You, dear stranger, you must be the key. Something about your presence here is causing the end of time to grow. The true end itself to move further away. Those torches, a light! This portal active once more! It cannot be coincidence. Goodness me, how right you are. There's so much to take in, I'd nearly forgotten. And what you saw has been haunting my mind since I first discovered it. It is the void itself. The dragon that is devouring creation. When I speak of the end of time, this is exactly what I mean. I can't say for sure where it came from, how or why, but I do know this. It's shrinking our future by the second. And if we don't stop it, it will devour the past and present as well. It's not that I believe, it's that I have seen. Long have I been waiting here, hoping that one day this very portal would ignite. Then, no longer than a few mere moments after you arrive, zap it goes. The chronicler of time knows a pattern when he sees one. Ah, though I cannot say for certain, if it is what I believe, then our prayers might well be answered. In fact, every last question that ever plagues your noggin might well be answered, for I believe what lies beyond this portal is nothing other than... But why spoil the mystery? As soon as we leap through, we'll find out for certain. After you, after you. Oh, what wonders we may find on the other side. You first, but don't dilly-dally.